Well, 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 well. Good day, everyone. Welcome to welcome to our channel. A big hello if you're new here, and thank you for stopping by. I'm your host, Clyde Phillips. If you're enjoying these videos, please hit that like button right now, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this with everyone you can. It really helps beat the algorithm. Keeps us viable. Okay, so let's dive in. Here's how it went when Ara interviewed me about the Trump assassination attempt. I know, eh? Heavy topic, right? But you know what? Somebody's got to tackle it. Might as well be me. So, Ara started by asking me, with your nearly 40 years in private security and crowd protection, what was your immediate reaction when you first saw the footage? So, of course, I had to answer, Ara. My very first thought was that this was going to create massive sympathy for the nominee, Trump, and almost guarantee he'd be elected. I honestly felt that. That was my gut reaction within seconds of seeing it. Right after that, I thought, this could have been a Democratic plot to assassinate him, as they could then easily win the election. It did make sense at the time. It totally made sense at the time. Maybe there were Democratic loyalists inside the Secret Service who helped make it happen. But the more I looked at everything, the more that theory fell apart. Then she asked, as someone who has actually run security operations, what immediately looked wrong to you about the Secret Service protecting him? I told her the protection looked completely wrong. They never covered his head or upper body. Their hands were down around his leg, waist, torso instead. Ara followed up with, if this was a legitimate assassination attempt, why do you think highly trained agents would make such basic mistakes? I said, well, if those were my guys, every single one of them would have been fired on the spot because they were in on it. They appeared to be waiting for the camera people to be moved into the exact right position before they moved Trump off the stage. They held everyone in place until the cameras were set up to capture that now famous picture of him with his fist in the air and the flag right behind him. I hope it made you think the same thing. That picture is almost a perfect replica of the iconic World War II flag-raising photo. The agents weren't scanning the crowd like they were actually doing their job or looking for a second shooter. The roof the shots came from had no Secret Service agents on it and no cameras watching it. Those kind of basic failures just don't happen unless they were intentional. So Ara pushed me here. You said you believe this event was staged. What makes you lean so heavily in that direction? I explained that after looking at everything, I'm about 75 to 80% convinced it was staged. There's still a 20 to 25% chance I could be wrong, but the evidence makes it very difficult to believe it was a real attempt. She then asked, if it really was staged, who would have to be involved for something like that to work? So I told her, at a minimum, the Secret Service leadership running that event had to be involved. The fact that the director in charge that day was promoted instead of fired tells me everything I need to know. Everything you need to know. Ara asked me, what about the shooter? Thomas Matthew Crooks? Do you believe he was in on it? So, I said, I believe he was a patsy. He could have been in on it, but he was still being used as a patsy. They took him out so he could never be questioned. That conveniently closes the loop and stops any real investigation. I also pointed out that the claim he had no social media was false. Other people found his accounts before they were supposedly scrubbed. The FBI still claims he left no digital footprint. That was a straight up lie. So Ara followed up with this. You've also questioned the ear injury. Why do you believe the bullet grazing his ear wasn't real? I explained that nobody trying to assassinate a president uses a .22 caliber rifle. Forensic analysis shows that a proper high velocity round traveling that distance would create massive air turbulence. The ear should have been violently distorting and flapping, and just from the shock wave alone. None of that happened. The way he immediately grabbed his ear also reminded me of the old wrestling blade jobs I used to see when I co-owned a wrestling company. I simply do not believe a bullet ever touched him. It's okay if you do. I can't. With all my experience and all the things I've seen and been around and participated in, it makes no sense. So finally, Ara asked me, if you're wrong about all of this, what does it say about you, Clyde? So I told her, if I'm wrong, it simply means I misread extreme incompetence as something more sinister. What the hang? But when you put all the evidence together, the protection failures, the camera positioning, the roof with no agents or cameras, the promotion instead of firing, and the very strong scent of a cover-up, it becomes very hard to believe this was a genuine assassination attempt. Even to this day, when serious questions are asked about, they're just fluffed off and pushed to the side. Nobody gives concrete answers. They just give this fluffy little, we've looked at all of that. We have definitely determined that it's 100% this guy who did it. All right, whatever. And then some people say, well, maybe he staged a shot and it was only Folks, do you realize how difficult a shot that would be for anybody, especially with a person who's way away on a podium, moving around, changing directions? Yeah, okay. So if you appreciate these videos, please remember to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share this with everyone you can. And remember, we never give up and we never give in. But we always keep an open mind. Why do we keep that open mind? Because it's the only way we can gather knowledge. And knowledge is the only power we will ever possess in this world. And we're not giving up our power. So, we'll see you in the next one. And hey, this script is credited to the interview conversation between Ara and Clyde.